My sister told her kids to call me Antie ATM to my face at Thanksgiving. Everyone chuckled, even my mom. I smiled, finished my plate, and excused myself. In the bathroom, I logged into the 529 college accounts I'd been funding for her 3 kids. $1,400 monthly for 7 years. Balance? $127,000. I transferred every cent into a new account. For my kids. It took 4 minutes. When I came back to the table, I raised my glass. To family. They had no idea until tax season. Thanksgiving was barely 10 minutes in when my sister leaned back in her chair, nodded toward me like I was part of the entertainment, and said, "Kids, tell Auntie ATM thank you for dinner." Her 3 kids did it on cue. "Auntie ATM, thank you," they sang, grinning like they'd practiced. Everyone chuckled, even my mom. I felt my throat tighten so fast I almost choked on my own sip of water. I looked down at my plate like the cranberry sauce was suddenly the most interesting thing in the world. My hands went cold around my fork. My daughter, Ella, was sitting beside me in her little sweater dress, shoulders tucked in like she wanted to take up less space. My son, Micah, had gone quiet too. He stared at the tablecloth and blinked hard like he was trying not to make eye contact with anyone. My mom laughed again and said, "Oh, Dana, stop. You're terrible." But she didn't stop it. She let it land. My sister Dana smiled right at me like she had handed out a harmless nickname, like she hadn't just taught her kids to reduce me to a machine that spits out money. I smiled back, not because it was funny, because I knew if I didn't smile, they'd make me the problem. So I smiled, finished my plate, and said very politely, "Excuse me, I need the bathroom." I pushed my chair in quietly. I carried my napkin like my hands weren't shaking. I walked down the hall past the framed family photos where Dana's kids were front and center in every single one. In the bathroom, I locked the door and sat on the closed toilet lid like my legs forgot how to hold me up. I stared at myself in the mirror. Melanie, 36, licensed cosmetologist. I spent my days making people feel better in their own skin. I worked at a small med spa in town, the kind with soft music and clean white towels and a front desk that always smelled like citrus. I had 2 kids. Ella was 10 and quietly brilliant. Micah was 7 and sweet in that way that made strangers smile at him in grocery store lines. And apparently, in my family, I was a wallet with legs. I pulled out my phone. Not to text my husband, I didn't have one. Not to call a friend, I didn't want to cry into someone's ear in my mother's bathroom while turkey cooled on the table. I opened my banking app. Then I opened the 529 college accounts, 3 of them, 1 for each of Dana's kids. I had started them 7 years ago, back when Dana was sobbing on my couch because her boyfriend had left and her rent was late, and my mom looked at me with that tired face and said, "You know how she is. She needs help." So I helped. I set up the accounts in my name because Dana couldn't qualify for the same plan at the time. I made it easy. I made it automatic. $1,400 a month. Every month. For 7 years. I didn't tell people. I didn't post about it. I didn't even remind Dana most of the time. I just did it because I was the responsible one, the stable one, the one who had it together. Balance? $127,000. I stared at the number until it stopped looking real. In the other room, my sister's kids were calling me Auntie ATM, and my mother was laughing like it was cute. My hands steadied, not because I stopped feeling hurt, because something in me finally went flat. I clicked through the screens like I'd done it 100 times before, because I had. I knew the passwords, I knew the security questions, I knew which button meant change beneficiary. Ella, Micah. I created 2 new accounts with my kids' names. I transferred the funds in 3 clean moves. I set the confirmations to email and watched the little check marks appear one by one. Done. It took 4 minutes. Then I canceled the monthly auto contribution. No drama, no speech, no big "I hope you learn your lesson," just a quiet financial door closing. I washed my hands, even though they weren't dirty. I fixed my lipstick like I was going back to work, not back into a room full of people who thought they could laugh at my expense. When I returned to the table, Dana was telling a story about a weekend trip she deserved because she'd been through so much, and my mom was nodding like she was hearing a TED Talk. My dad carved another piece of turkey and didn't look up once. My cousin Tasha, sitting across from me, caught my eye for half a second. Her smile looked tight, like she didn't find it funny either, but she wasn't brave enough to be the only one not laughing. I sat down and lifted my glass when my mom started the toast. "To family," my mom said. "To family," everyone echoed. I smiled again. "To family," I said, and I meant something different than they did. They had no idea. Not yet. I knew my family's patterns so well I could predict their moods by the sound of my mom's footsteps. My mom didn't ask for money in a straightforward way. She did it with sighs and by-the-way comments and little panic stories that somehow always ended with me fixing it. Your dad's truck needs new tires. Dana's daycare raised their rates. Your nephew needs braces. Your sister is behind her electric bill again. And every time I told myself it was temporary, that I was helping until Dana got on her feet, that I was being a good daughter, that my kids were watching and learning generosity. What my kids were also watching, though, was how little generosity came back to us. Like last Christmas, when my mom handed out the gifts, and Dana's kids each got a big box with their names on it, and Ella got a thin envelope with a $10 movie gift card like she was someone's coworker. Or the year before, when Micah made a handprint turkey for Grandma, and she left it on the counter under a stack of coupons. Then later, I saw it bent and smeared in the trash. Or the little things that didn't sound like much when you said them out loud, but piled up until they became a wall. Dana's kids are just louder, that's all. Ella is so mature, she doesn't need as much attention. Micah's fine, he doesn't even notice. They always said my kids were fine, like that was permission to ignore them. And then there was the money. I didn't just fund the 529s. I covered Dana's car repair the summer her transmission died, $2,600 on my credit card. I paid my parents' property tax one year when my mom cried about losing the house, $4,100. I bought a school clothes for Dana's oldest when she said, "They're growing so fast and I just can't keep up." 2 carts at Target, plus sneakers, plus winter coats. I even paid for a family beach rental once because my mom said it would be good for the kids to bond. What she meant was Dana's kids, because when we got there, Dana's kids got the big bedroom with the balcony because they're 3 and it's easier, and Ella and Micah slept on an air mattress that slowly leaked all week. And I let it happen. Over and over. Because every time I started to push back, my mom's face would change and she'd say the same line, soft and disappointed, like I was breaking a sacred rule. "Don't make it about money, Melanie." As if it wasn't already about money. As if the only time money mattered was when I stopped giving it. After Thanksgiving dinner, we drove home in silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind where everyone is holding something heavy and pretending it's not there. Ella stared out the window and traced shapes in the fog on the glass. Micah hugged his jacket to his chest like a shield. When we got home, I put the leftovers in the fridge and told the kids to get ready for bed. I kept my voice normal. I kept my hands busy, because if I stopped moving, I was afraid I'd fall apart. Ella came into the kitchen with her pajamas on and her hair still damp from her shower. She stood there for a second, then asked, very quietly, "Mom, are we poor?" My chest tightened so hard I had to grip the counter. "No, baby," I said. "Why would you ask that?" She shrugged like she was trying to act casual, but her eyes looked tired. "Because Aunt Dana always says you have money, and Grandma laughs when she says stuff like that. And when they gave out the little gratitude cards today, mine didn't have anything in it." I froze. "The what?" I asked. Ella looked down. "At dinner, Grandma said she made gratitude cards for all the grandkids. Everyone got a little card at their place setting with a message. The cousins read theirs out loud. I remembered the little folded cards. I remembered Dana's kids squealing. I hadn't looked inside the one at Ella's plate. I assumed it was just a note. Ella's voice got smaller. Mine was blank. Micah appeared behind her and whispered, Mine too. I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. My mouth opened and nothing came out. Because that was the moment that made everything click into one sharp line. It wasn't just the Antie ATM joke. It was my kids sitting there with blank cards while everyone laughed at me. It was my kids watching their cousins get love and attention while they got polite emptiness. It was my kids starting to think they were worth less. I crouched down and pulled them close. You're not poor, I said, and you're not less, not ever. Ella nodded, but her face still looked uncertain, like she was waiting for the world to prove me wrong. So I made a promise to myself right there with both my kids in my arms. I would not pay to be disrespected, and I would not fund a family that treated my kids like afterthoughts. I tucked them into bed and sat on the edge of Ella's mattress until her breathing slowed. She reached out and held my hand like she did when she was little. Did I do something wrong? She whispered. No, I said, firm. You didn't. When I left her room, I didn't cry. Not yet. I went back to the kitchen, opened my laptop, and saved the transfer confirmations into a folder. I labeled it Kids, Future. Then I closed the laptop and finally let myself breathe. The fallout didn't come immediately. That's how it always went. My family loved the benefits of my help, but they never paid attention to the details until something stopped working. December passed. Dana posted pictures of her kids in matching holiday pajamas. My mom commented hearts under every photo. No one asked my kids to come over. No one invited us for cookie decorating or a movie night. We got one group text, Merry Christmas. I replied with a simple Merry Christmas and left it there. January came. My life went on. I worked. I did facials and waxes and skincare consults. I listened to clients talk about their own families, their own drama, their own budgets. Every month, where the $1,400 auto transfer used to leave my account, it didn't. And for the first time in 7 years, I watched my own balance grow instead of shrink. I used that space to do something small but important. I started adding to Ella and Micah's accounts. Not huge amounts at first, just steady, just hours. I also signed Ella up for an art class she'd been begging for, but I always couldn't justify. And I bought Micah the soccer cleats he wanted, the ones with the bright blue stripes, without checking my bank app first. The world didn't end. My kids didn't become spoiled. I didn't turn into a villain. We just breathed. Then tax season hit, and that's when the calls started. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was cleaning up my treatment room when my phone buzzed. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, Dana. Then Mom again. Then my dad. I stared at the screen until it went dark. When I got home, there were 12 new messages. Dana, call me now. Mom, we need to talk. This is serious. Dad, don't ignore your mother. And then finally, Dana again. What did you do to the kids' college money? There it was. They didn't call because they missed us. They called because something they counted on was gone. I made dinner for my kids first. I served mac and cheese and cut strawberries into little hearts because Micah liked it that way. After they were settled with a cartoon, I sat at the kitchen table and called my mom. She answered on the first ring, like she'd been holding the phone. Melanie, my mom snapped, what is going on? I'm listening, I said. My mom didn't ask how we were. She didn't mention Thanksgiving. She didn't mention the blank cards. She went straight to the money. Dana is in tears, she said. She's trying to fill out financial aid forms, and the accounts they're empty. She called the plan office, and they said the beneficiaries were changed. Melanie, tell me you didn't. I paused. I did. Silence. Then my mom inhaled like she was about to faint. "You can't do that," she whispered. "I can," I said, calm. "I own the accounts." Dana's voice came on the line, sharp and high, like a wire snapping. "Are you kidding me?" she yelled. "That money is for my kids." I didn't raise my voice. "I funded those accounts," I said. $1,400 a month for 7 years. "That doesn't matter," Dana shouted. "You promised." "I promised to help," I said. "I didn't promise to be your joke." My mom jumped in fast. "It was a Thanksgiving joke, Melanie. Don't be dramatic." I let that sit for a second. Then I said, "My kids got blank gratitude cards." No one spoke. Dana tried to laugh, but it sounded fake. "Oh my God, you're seriously bringing up paper cards?" "I'm bringing up my kids," I said, "and I'm bringing up a pattern." My mom's voice turned icy. "So you're punishing the children?" I almost laughed at how predictable it was. "No," I said, "I'm protecting my children." Dana started crying, loud and angry. "Do you know what you just did to me? Do you know how hard it is? I don't have money like you." There it was again, like my job magically printed money, like my bills didn't exist, like my kids didn't need anything. "I know exactly how hard it is," I said. "I've been making it easier for you for 7 years. My mom tried the soft tone next, the one she used when she wanted me to fold. "Melanie," she said, "you're family. We don't do this." I breathed in and looked at the hallway where my kids were laughing at the TV. Then I said the line I'd been holding in my chest for years. "I'm not your backup bank," I told her, "and I won't fund a family my kids aren't fully part of." Dana shouted, "So what now? You're just cutting us off?" "I made one decision," I said. "The money I saved is going to my kids." My mom's voice sharpened again. "You're being vindictive." "No," I said. "I'm being done." Then I hung up. My hands didn't shake this time. The next few days were exactly what you'd expect. Voicemails full of guilt, texts full of blame. My mom sent one message that made my stomach turn. "So Ella and Micah matter more than their cousins?" As if love was a competition, as if my kids finally being prioritized was an attack on someone else. Dana posted vague social media quotes about betrayal and people showing their true colors. My aunt commented prayer hands. My mom liked the post. My dad left a voicemail that started with, "I don't know who's gotten into you," like I wasn't a grown woman with her own mind. I didn't respond. I blocked the group chat. I kept going to work. I kept packing lunches. I kept helping Ella with her spelling words and tying Micah's shoes when he got impatient. And something surprising happened. The panic in my body started to fade. Because the truth was, the money wasn't the only thing I'd been giving my family. I'd been giving them access to my peace, and I had quietly taken it back. A week later, my cousin Tasha came into my spa for a brow appointment. She sat on the table while I mapped her arches, and she finally said, low, "I heard what happened." I didn't answer at first. Then she added, "I didn't laugh, by the way. I just froze." I kept my hands steady. "I know," I said. Tasha swallowed. "My mom said you're being selfish." I exhaled. Tasha looked at me in the mirror and said, "But I don't think it's selfish." I met her eyes, and that small support from someone who had watched the pattern too felt like a window cracking open in a stuffy room. "You shouldn't have had to do it," she said. "They shouldn't have made you feel like a joke." I blinked fast. "I'm tired," I admitted. "I'm just tired." Tasha nodded. "Come to my place Sunday. The kids can play. No drama." I hesitated. Then I said, "Okay." That year, I didn't go back to my mom's for Easter. I didn't host a family brunch. I didn't buy Dana's kids anything big to keep things smooth. I sent simple cards. That was it. And the world kept turning. By the time November rolled around again, my mom sent an invitation like nothing had happened. Thanksgiving at our place, 3 p.m. No apology, no mention of last year, just an expectation. I stared at it for a long time. Then I texted back, "We're staying home this year." My mom replied immediately, "You're really going to do this to us again?" I typed one sentence. "I won't fund a family my kids aren't fully part of." Then I put my phone down. On Thanksgiving morning, I woke up early and let the house fill with warm smells: garlic and butter, cinnamon, roasted apples. Ella and Micah helped me set the table. Ella made place cards out of thick white paper and markers. She wrote everyone's name carefully in her best handwriting. Mine said Mom, Micah's said Micah with a crooked smiley face, Ella's said Ella with little stars around it. And then she made 2 extra cards. One said Tasha, one said Nana if she chooses kindness. She placed that last one at the end of the table, like a quiet challenge and a quiet boundary at the same time. When Tasha arrived with her kids, the house got loud in the good way. Kids running down the hallway, shoes kicked off by the door, someone laughing in the kitchen. We ate on mismatched plates and drank sparkling cider in regular glasses because it felt fancy to Micah. Halfway through dinner, Ella tapped her fork against her glass like she'd seen adults do. "I want to toast," she said. My heart jumped a little. She stood up in her chair, cheeks pink, eyes bright. "To family," she said. I swallowed. Then she added, "Clear as day. The kind that doesn't make anyone feel small." No one laughed. Not because it was awkward, because everyone understood. I reached over and squeezed her hand. Micah leaned against my shoulder and whispered, "This is better." Outside, the late afternoon light turned the windows gold. Inside, my kids looked relaxed in a way I hadn't seen around my parents in years. At the end of the night, when I cleared plates, I noticed that extra place card still sitting there. Nana, if she chooses kindness. It stayed empty. And that was the point. Because for the first time, the empty seat didn't feel like a loss. It felt like proof. Proof that my kids were no longer the ones being left out. Proof that I could stop paying for love that never showed up. And when I tucked Ella into bed later, she hugged me and whispered, "Mom." "Yeah?" I said. She smiled sleepily. "I like our family." I kissed her forehead. "So do I told her. And I meant it.